What is up, everyone? Welcome back to the Chart With Me series. It is Friday the 17th, and we had, some developments in the market, kind of like we thought we would. So kind of just want to get into what happened throughout the rest of the week since Tuesday. Got one trade to go over, as well as a few different charts. So without further ado, let's get over to that portion of our charts. This one was running this week. We saw, the GameStop, the AMC that we went over. We'll get to those, but just wanted to start with this FFIE, Faraday Future Intel kind of meme stock that's been going on. We can see a crazy run up the last few days on the hourly here. Kind of was following along this trend line here, and then obviously today just fell off an absolute cliff. Just following along, bang. If we look at the fib levels, broke through the 23, obviously very cleanly, broke through the 30, the 50, bounced at the 61, kind of went up back to that $2 mark, and then just bled all the rest of the day, resting finally at that 78 point. So going into next week, obviously we've broken through this already to the downside. This could be over already. So I caution against, GMC or GME and AMC the other day. And this is pretty much spelling out exactly what they did. Obviously the daily is absolutely cooked for this chart. We can zoom out to the 4-hour and kind of see, right? Like this thing has really just been on a sideways tear for a long while. So looking at the 4-hour, there's not too many key levels to kind of catch this. We could kind of see the meme stock craze continue into next week. I just don't want to spend a lot of time on it. We click over to GME, right? We had some levels marked out the other day. If you remember, I talked about it breaking this 40 level, right? This was Tuesday night into Wednesday morning. We can kind of see, it's a little easier to see on the hourly though. We click over to the hourly, right? We had talked about being here Tuesday, right? Being here on Tuesday. If it broke this like 40 level, it's just going to continue down. And that's exactly what we saw, right? Come all the way down, basically test this 23, come back up, bounce off of 38, and just bleed sideways. So when I look at FFIE, like I'm seeing this portion right here. This is what I'm seeing. And then we'll see this continuation, if I had to guess, into next week for FFIE. So obviously, I spoke about this the other day, GME doing the same thing, kind of leading the pack. I think there was a huge offer today on GameStop. So obviously, that's just going to continue to bleed. Same kind of story here for AMC, right? Huge spike up. If we look at the fibs, right, let's just fib this out from the very low to the high, right? Came down. Look at that. Touched that level right there that we had drawn previously. Broke through that on Wednesday, came up, tested that level again, and then just bled all through the rest of the week. So going into next week, the meme stock craze could be over. Heading into a short week with Friday, I'm assuming a lot of traders are going to take off because of Memorial Day. Market's already obviously closed next Monday. We're just heading into, hey, it was fun while it was lasted, but as we go into the back half of the week, probably not going to see anything too crazy. Kind of going through the rest of the watch list I have. Let's take a look at Apple. All right, Apple really never came down to that level to the downside that I wanted, right? If we zoom in a little bit, on Tuesday, we're just looking at the hourly here, right? This Tuesday night, right, was right here. I was talking about it coming down and testing or breaking through these highs. We pretty much got that immediately, got a huge move on Wednesday, and then just traded sideways for the rest of the week. Like you could read into this if you wanted as, some type of head and shoulders, right? Even if it is a head and shoulders, we're only going to go back, whatever the candle length this is to the neck, 189, $1.50. So if we go all the way down, could bounce, I would move this up to about here, right? This is my expectation. if we do get any downside next week into a sell-off, I'd be looking at puts below this level. And the reason for that is in the event of a head and shoulders, which this is a very, very weak head and shoulders pattern. But in the event it is a head and shoulders, it's only going to come down to the neckline, which honestly, if we look at the 15, it probably looks a little bit more like your standard head and shoulders, right? Here's one shoulder, here's the head, here's another shoulder over a huge amount of time. And we come back down to this neckline here, which is at 189.50, $1.50 away from this 191 high. So if we look at $1.50 down the other way, that's right here. This is what we're looking at, this 188 level, which is giving us some confluence into, you know, this previous resistance, right? We talk about resistance becoming support later. So we broke through that previous resistance level, and then we're going to come over here, probably retest and go. Similar to what we did right here, right? 1 touch, 2 touches, 3 touch, 4 touch, and go. So maybe this is the new support level to watch for a breakdown. If we do get underneath this level, great. That's awesome. I would still consider this a bit of no man's land before we head into, you know, deeper down, deeper. Switching over to Microsoft, similar price action here. We never really drew any crazy levels for this one because it was expensive, right? Let's back out. Let's look at what we see on the daily, right? We talked about, you know, where are we on this level, right? This is Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. So Tuesday, we bounced through this 61 level. We were headed here, right? Would have been nice to go long, but as you see, we gapped up. Probably was waiting for a little retest. Retest never came. Kept going up, broke through this resistance level, this 420, 421, and then just kind of traded sideways, right? Tried to break through, came down, like sellers were strong, right? Buyers couldn't push it back up. And then that bled into the following day here, right? Zoom in a little so you can see it. We switch over to the hourly. Same kind of thing here. That's what we're seeing before, right? We got, since Tuesday, came back down, tested that level that we had set on Tuesday and just went, right? Absolutely broke through this. Previous resistance becomes new support, right? Supported over here. Buyers buying it back up above this level, right? And then we should see continuation. Have a similar, you know, maybe a new downtrend being created here, right? If we look on the hourly, we'll see if it continues to respect this downtrend. But as soon as it breaks through this and retests this 421, that's where I would be looking to go long. For sure, looking to go long there. Backing back out to the daily. Look at Palantir. Palantir, man, this is what I said the other day, right? We're looking at Tuesday. We had some strong action. Sellers coming through. Higher low, still higher low, right? Even if it's just barely. Higher lows, right? New trend being respected. This 20 level, obviously very much being respected. I still think we fill this gap up to 24. You know, obviously any news or anything next week will tilt that. I think we actually have NVIDIA earnings. Go over that more so on Sunday on some stuff to watch. But NVIDIA earnings, if they go off, then that's just going to set the entire chips market up, and we might see a gap fill here for 24. So Palantir definitely on watch. Also like this general trend level, right? If we're looking at boom, right? Just keeping that up. I'm sure that's more pronounced on the hourly. All right, we can actually remove this and we'll draw a new one. All right. 1 touch, 2 touches. If it goes up, right? Could see a rejection right here. Right, this is previous. Look at this. Previous resistance. 1, 2, 3 touches. Breaks through on the 4th. Comes back down, tests, and go. Could be having a similar setup here, right? Right. This is previous support, now turned resistance. that being said, we have 1, 2, 3 touches, right? Could break through on the 4th, and then boom, we're going at least to this 23 level. This is a hot watch for me. I think if NVIDIA comes in well, like this would be a very, very good one to watch in general. Right? This makes sense to me. All right. Looking at the broader chip market, SMH, right? Back out. I don't know if we covered this one the other day, so it might be new based on what we were talking about on Tuesday, but we see this. We have a major trend level on the weekly. We also have this new trend line forming, right? This old trend line kind of went by the wayside, or if you want to look at it like this, right? One touch, never really touched it again, broke through, right? I don't really like this one. I think this newer trend line, which would be formed more so on the weekly, makes sense. We zoom in. I did talk about this, right? I talked about us potentially seeing 250 if we get a good test. We're getting a good test of this new kind of resistance here, right? This resistance is being tested. If NVIDIA earnings go crazy next week, like I would assume that we see that 250 break through this and we're gone. But we did get a good amount of selling over the last couple of days, right? Gapped up on Wednesday. Yesterday kind of gave it back. Today gave it back as well. We're still inside of this big candle. So that tells me that we're still bullish here. We're still bullish on chips. But we'll see if we come back down and test this trend line and then go. This would be a good buy spot for me, right? Anywhere kind of in here, right? Because we're in this old like resistance turn support. Anywhere in here, this is a go for me. Wish I would have gotten down here, but hey, hindsight's 2020, right? So that's SMH. That's a top watch in addition to Palantir. Looking at Tesla. Tesla's just a mess. Look at this. Still on this overall downtrend. Just traded sideways for a couple of days. Nothing crazy. We're ranging, consolidating. Switch over to the hourly. Super rangy action, right? We never got above this level. We did get below the level that we had spoke about last Tuesday, right? But only briefly, and then just turned around and pivoted. You can read what you want in here, right? Oh my God, it's a little head and shoulders, like on the 5, right? But probably not. You know what I mean? Looking at the 15, right? Mini. But obviously this level, this 173 is kind of acting as this 165 used to. I still think Tesla's almost like a no trade for me right now. Just volatile, creates a trend, quickly breaks it, trades sideways. Like Tesla's a mess. Let's click over to Uber real quick. Uber's kind of doing exactly what I thought it was going to do. All right. We talked about being here on Tuesday. Wanted to see below 63, then we'll head to this 58. But I also talked about if we come up and test this 67 and reject it, right? Continue the downtrend, right? We talked about this broken bull flag. Bull flag got broken, right? Earnings like solidified the downtrend, came up, tested once, tested twice. We are creating almost like higher lows and then we created a new lower low, right? So this is going to continue, if you ask me, into lower lows. We're going to just continue down. I think if we switch over to the hourly, you'll see it a little bit more clearly. All right, the 67 level, boom, went up and kissed it, reject, and now we're just creating lower lows. So if we go underneath 65 now, I think we test 63. We break through 63, boom, we're down to 58. So I'm going to actually move this up 5. Right? Because if we break 65, we're gone, but we could come down and then go. So I need to see a break, come up, retest, and down again, and I'll get into Uber. All right. So a lot of downward movement across the market in some of like our bigger names, right? Even Lilly, I believe, popped up and popped back down, right? We're still continuing that sideways move in Lilly, right? So we had a big move up, down. Similar price action here where we had 2 down days to end the week, but we're still like overall, we're still overall green on the week, right? And we're still inside of this signifying bullish, right? Like this looks bullish, this 3 candle pattern. So I think we continue to the upside on Lilly, but zooming out, like I would need to see a clean break of this probably 800 and go. Right, but this looks. Look at this. This has been consolidating for 3 months. RIP if you had any, options expecting this movement. But I talked about this on Tuesday, right? Lily likes trade sideways, boom, big jump up. Trade sideways, boom, big jump up. So nothing that we're not used to seeing. And then lastly, talk about Google for a second. This one went exactly to the plan, to the upside, right? We were here on Tuesday, talked about, hey, if we break this line, boom, we're gonna go. And unfortunately, I didn't take the trade here, thinking of, basically new all-time highs. But this week was a great week for Google, starting with its I/O conference, right? The news coming out of that just basically sent this to new all-time highs. And we should have caught this here, but we didn't. We waited. Instead, we caught it this morning at the hourly. All right, we had a big jump up, trading sideways. Right, here's where we were at on Tuesday at the close. And I was like, hey, if we break through this, let's get a retest and go. And this is exactly what we wanted to see, right? Break through, come back, retest, right? Actually dipped underneath. Went up strong. Look at the volume here on this candle, this 10 o'clock candle. Look at that. Very, very strong breakthrough, right? And then just absolute gorgeous lineup the rest of the week. So should have got in here on Wednesday, but didn't. That's fine. Missed the trade. Instead, kind of took one here. Just rode this one up today for a little bit. Bought some calls right at open and just watched them kind of bleed up the rest of the day. I assume we'll kind of gap down over the weekend as people take profits heading into next week. But it was just nice to see this trade just go so nicely based on right here on Tuesday night. Talked about, hey, if we break through, like look for a retest and entry. Didn't take this one, but felt pretty good about, the pop up and pop down, pop up, pop sideways, and moving into next week, we should see the same. So some sick action on the charts this week. I'm thinking and I think this a lot all the time, if we look at the overall state of the market, we're going to see, if we can continue making new all-time highs. We kind of got the big dip that was needed, the rest, right? After this long bullish run. Right? It seemed like we never had a down day from October to here. We took a nice solid rest and then boom, we're ready to go and continue up. I doubt we get any type of bleed like this where it's like a 4-month bleed until we get back to, like August, September time. But if we look, right, this was pretty much the same amount, a length of time. This was a little shorter. This one, this and this look very similar, right? This little move at the end of 2022 and this little move right now look identical, right? This right here took a little longer than this, but same kind of percentage drop, right? And then continue on higher. So we could be entering one of these long stretches, right? One of these long stretches of gains. Or we could have another quick headsy down and go. But make sure you are paying attention to your levels. And of course, just do what you can to mitigate risk as much as possible, right? One thing that's super important as traders, we just don't give back our profits. Don't give back the profits. Take only the trades that make sense. And we'll be back on Sunday to kind of talk about the overall week, but just wanted to kind of recap the moves and some of the levels that we're looking for on the bigger names. And then when we come back on Sunday, we'll have some much smaller names and give you some more different trade ideas. Maybe there'll be some news over the weekend, talk about earnings and calendar events and stuff like that. So thanks for watching, and we'll see you on Sunday.